In a world where carbs are your enemy, you need one man to help you fight your battles. That man is Jimmy.
Combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
Today we have Dave Korzunski from headsuphealth.com, and if you haven't checked out Heads Up Health and you're a biohacker, where you been? That is the place to be, because it's very easy to track all of your biohacking markers right there. So Dave, tell us a little more about Heads Up Health.
Yeah, thanks, Jimmy. We just wanted to build a simple system where anyone could experiment with different biohacks and figure out if it's actually working for their health. So we give them the tools to measure it and the tools to see progress, so you can see if a particular biohack or an experiment or a lifestyle change is actually improving your health. So the charts, the graphs, the tools that you need to make sure that anything you're doing is actually working to improve your health.
And guys, this is perhaps the first time all of this information is brought together in one place, and you can use this data with your medical and health professionals that are out there. They're going to love you for using Heads Up Health. So head on over there now, headsuphealth.com.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live. And we're here with another episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. And if you'd like to engage in this show live, don't miss my next Jimmy Rants. We start off over on Instagram. I'm at Living Low Carb Man on Instagram, LivinLowCarbman. Once you're there, you can engage live in the content, just like Liz and T. West Hughes and Mississippi Keto, Bonnie, Darla, Sharon. All these guys are coming in right now with many more right behind them. If you missed the live, you can watch it on replay for up to 24 hours. After 24 hours, it does disappear, so you'll need to go access all the past episodes, 220-something and counting now, over on YouTube. So type in a keyword Jimmy Rants on YouTube. You will find the show. Finally, we do have a podcast version of this show on Apple Podcasts as well as Stitcher. JimmyRants.com is the website. Today's Jimmy Rants was precipitated by a series of accounts that I follow on social media, all talking about an increase that they have noticed lately in the amount of ugliness that they experience online from people that write to them. So it's been out there for a very long time. It's not really a secret that you got some strange people online that like to spew hate and ugliness and nastiness for really no other apparent reason other than to just be nasty. And one of my friends who I talked about on yesterday's Jimmy Rants, she posted some pictures of herself. She's a huge weight loss success story. Keto in Canada is her username on Instagram. And she posted pictures of herself in a bikini, where she was very proud of the weight loss that she's had, massive weight loss. And somebody sent her a vile, vicious, ugly message that basically told her she had no business posting her butt like that, and just kind of just much worse than that. And Keto in Canada posted that on her stories to kind of show people that this is the kind of stuff that's out there. So what I want to talk about here today is this whole notion, because people always, whenever I post something that happens negative, people always say, well, haters gonna hate, just ignore them, they're just troll. And I'm going, you don't understand. You don't understand what it's like to be in the position of someone with a following who constantly is barraged by that. It's so easy to just say, haters gonna hate, ignore the trolls, blah, blah, blah. But until you're in the position where you're like getting them nonstop, like a fire hose thrown at you in your mouth every single day, that's what it feels like for people like myself and Keto in Canada and anyone with a modicum of following. And so what I want to talk about here today is, if haters are going to hate, which they do and they will, then lovers got to love. And I think all of us, which I think is the great majority of the population, don't engage in hate. But what do we do instead? We sit on the sidelines and we don't say anything at all. And so I think dealing with online ugliness means that those of us that aren't in the business of ugliness need to be more about being in the business of positivity, love, compassion, respect, and being very deliberate in our going out of the way to say nothing but good things to people on their social media page. So you counter hate with love. You counter ugliness with kindness. And I think sometimes we forget about this because regular everyday people, you treat people with kindness. But the unfortunate thing about the duhness of it is it's so assumed that you're kind that you don't actually do the kindness part. Not that you're ugly, but by saying nothing, you're not really helping people who might be struggling with all that they see is the negative. Is this making sense, you guys? So we counter the haters by being deliberate and actionable in sharing our love. So what's this look like? So let's say you're scrolling through Instagram, you're scrolling through Facebook, wherever you are on social media. Maybe you're watching this on YouTube on the replay. You're scrolling through and you see an ugly comment from someone. Rather than engaging that person, let's ignore that person and then write something incredibly uplifting, encouraging, and helpful to the victim of that ugly comment that was made. So you see where I'm going here? You counter this by being much more loving, much more kind, much more respectful, all of the things that you would want people to treat you as. You would, and think about it this way. How would you want people to talk to your mama or your grandmama or your kids or someone else that you love in your life? You would want them to be treated with respect, love, kindness, all the things that I'm talking about here today. So I want you to project that when you're writing a comment to someone to encourage them, as if you're writing it to that grandma, that mom, that kid that's in your life that you love. Can you imagine the wave that we would produce of positivity if people actually went out of their way to write things in a positive manner? And a lot of you guys do. I've seen it out there where people do rally to encourage people who look like they're discouraged, or they get some turd ball that comes on and does a comment. So a lot of you guys are already doing that, but maybe you're watching this today and you go, you know what? I never thought about it actually having such a profound impact. Because here's the thing, as someone who gets a lot of negativity on a daily basis, through every means possible, comments on social media, YouTube, emails, messages, private messages, direct messages, everywhere, all over social media. As someone who is bombarded by that stuff every single day, I'm used to it by now, by the way, so it doesn't impact me as much as others now. But you need that positivity to offset some of that stuff. And because we know that the negativity is out there, how hard is it for you to take 30 to 60 seconds of your life? And I try to do this often on friends of mine that I follow, that I know are doing a really good job. I just did it this morning for my friend Keto Teacher Mom. She posted a picture of her before picture and her after picture, and she had some inspirational thing. And I told her, way to go. And I see that happening a lot, but maybe it's never been on your radar screen before to even give it a go, to give people that encouragement. Can I just implore you guys to go out of your way to post encouragement? I think that's how we counter all of the internet online ugliness that is out there, because haters gonna hate, yes, but I think lovers gotta love. So it's kind of like that old joke I heard an old man tell one time, when the wife asked, "Why don't you ever tell me you love me anymore?" And he says, "Well, I told you I love you in the past, and if I ever change my mind, I'll let you know." So the moral of that story was, it wasn't about that you're there and you obviously have that notion of loving other people. You got to tell them. And I think if we're more proactive about it, we're going to drown out all of the nastiness that is out there from people with whatever their motivation is that seek to discourage and spew hate. Okay? So hopefully this resonates with you guys today, because it's not going away. As much as we want to unopen Pandora's box is open. The internet is full of vile, vicious, ugly, every ugliness known to mankind that you could possibly think of is online now. So with that knowledge, all that good people can do, all that people that care about other human beings can do, which is the vast majority of us, is share love and be deliberate about it. Not being shy about it, not being weird about it, just sharing love with other human beings. That's what they deserve. That's what you deserve. And if we all start doing that really care about this, we will literally drown out the haters. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. Welcome in, welcome in. I know this is a little off the topic of what I typically talk about, but that's how I roll here on Jimmy Rants. We cover all the angles. That girl this morning was laughing at Lauren for no makeup. WTH, that's so wrong. So yeah, Katie, Lauren, Keto Coach Lauren, did a video at 6:30 this morning, and she was talking about the topic she was going to talk about, and it had to do with being loving and accepting to yourself. So what Lauren did was came on camera without any makeup on to kind of prove the point. But yeah, Katie, you're always going to have those people, sadly. Lady Klingon, if they can make you miserable, then they're happy. Which is why I think we ignore those people. And I talked about this the other day on Jimmy Rants. When you have a negative comment come up, this whole echo chamber starts to happen. So somebody says, "Oh, you're not doing keto right." "Oh, yeah, I don't see that you're..." "Oh, yeah." And it's just kind of cascades with this negativity. So my suggestion to counter that is, when you see something like that, don't even engage that person. You simply say something that is even overly so loving, kind, respectful, encouraging. If you do that, you make them look like that. They're just little penny ante nothings, because at the end of the day, they're not anything worth your time. Keto Stoner says, "I just watched Keto in Canada's story about this. Why are people such a-holes?" Well, what I've been talking about here today. Haters are always going to hate. And Keto in Canada has a massive following. So the bigger following that you have, the more of that kind of stuff, sadly, you have to deal with. Sue Davis says she's also very brave, braver than most of us, talking about Keto in Canada. She is, and she's very vulnerable. It's why I talked about on yesterday's Jimmy Rants that I love those people who they share, and then they share positive and encouragement, but then they share the vulnerability aspect of things. Those are the accounts that I'm attracted to, and it's the kind of account that I try to be for other people as well. Lady Klingon says, "Words hurt," and they do. And I think that's one of the missing elements in society today. We forget how powerful our words can be, either in a positive or a negative way. I mean, especially for people that are very sensitive. My wife, Christine's very sensitive. So I know if I say certain words to her, that's not going to be good for me the rest of the day, because she's going to be in an upset mood because of that. And so I'm very careful not to say that kind of negativity or words towards her. And I try to often uplift her, encourage her, give her words
that would be positive and keep her in the right state of mind. I mean, that's the way and to be a good husband, that's what you always should do. Primal Voyage, really just let it roll off your back like water on a duck's back. Kill them with kindness, carry on with your day. That is so easy to say. And I agree with you in principle. But the problem is that once you have something like that, it's like poison. You know, a little bit of poison can still be deadly. And so once it's in the mind, I don't know how you physically in your brain say, okay, that doesn't matter, until you've trained yourself to do that. I do that now. But when someone is brand new to some of this exposure, it's one reason I talk about this a lot is people go, oh my gosh, what is all this negativity? What am I doing wrong? And I'm going, yeah, welcome to my world for the past 15 years that I've been doing this. Until you know that that's the norm, none of this makes sense to you. But once you realize haters gonna hate, you realize, oh, I need to be more deliberate about loving more often and sharing that with other people. Mississippi Keto, the old adage, sticks and stones is a lie. It does hurt. It really does. And I think you can have walls that kind of go up. And I've even had people writing to me, responding to some of the Jimmy Rants things. And they're like, we don't know how you stay sane online with all the ugliness and negativity that you deal with. And they're like, this is why we don't go online and don't have a more vocal presence online. We can't take that. And to me, guys, that is so sad. If that's you and you watch these Jimmy Rants for, you know, encouragement and inspiration, but you're afraid to be that voice yourself, can I just say, please put yourself out there. We need good people articulating positivity, love, kindness, respect, and realness with other people online. And if all the people that are good in this world, which is probably the vast majority, if all the people that are good in this world go away and stop sharing, what's left is all the negative people. And I've talked about this before in other Jimmy Rants, but please, please let my story be the example to you of, yes, you're going to get some negativity, but here's how you deal with it. You're just overly loving back towards these people. And that's the way you respond to it. That's how we counter that haters are going to hate, but the lovers have got to love. Yes, positive builds. We need to build up, says Sue. Agreed. Totally. Bendy says, totally agree. I think I've commented on here before that sometimes you need to stand up to the bullies. It can be done from a place of love and positivity. Occasionally, I will engage someone who said something moderately negative, but they weren't like real personal in the attack, just to kind of give them an opportunity to say, or for me to ask them, are you sure you meant to say that? And occasionally I will be surprised when they come back and go, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. You're right. I could have been kinder in my response. I was truly just inquiring. I think just the frequency by which we see negativity now online, people see the frequency as normality. Hate is never normal. It never will be normal. So if you see it, it doesn't mean you need to reciprocate in kind. Hate needs to be squelched. And that kind of negativity nobody needs in their life, which is why I'm doing this Jimmy Rants today. I want those of us that believe in love and kindness and respect for fellow human beings, I want us to be deliberate, proactive. Will you promise me that? Will you promise me that when you see the nastiness that is out there, that you counter it with love, compassion, respect, all of these things that we talk about here so often on Jimmy Rants? And it just breaks my heart as someone who's trying to share good in this world that the negativity seems to get more attention than the love. And I think we can flip that script pretty quick if we all band together and commit to doing this. I absolutely love going out of my way to post encouragement and say uplifting things, Keto Neogenesis. Beth, you did one thing further. You actually sent me and Christine a package, an envelope that had some really nice words and a card, and then you made up these little, well, I thought I had it back here, these little magnets for us to put on our refrigerator. So that was so encouraging to us. So yeah, you are living that, my friend. You certainly are. Susan, your IG live replay rants are not showing the comments. Is this a new IG thing? It is. I've watched some, thank you, Susan. I've watched some other people do their lives, and then you go watch the replay and all the comments are gone. So I guess they're making the comments an exclusive to the people that are on the live. So yeah, that's not a Jimmy Moore thing. That is definitely an Instagram thing. I have found that because I go out of my way to post encouragement and say uplifting things, it's now become the way and not so much out of the way. And Beth, I hope other people follow your lead and make it the way for them. I don't think our brains automatically default to sharing positivity. Think about it this way. If you go to a restaurant and you have a really nice meal, the server was uber good at his or her job, and the food was delicious and blah, 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 blah. You leave a tip, you go away. You don't really leave a comment on Yelp or anything. It was just, okay, that was great. But if you have something go wrong in that experience, with the server having a bad attitude, or it was really late on the food, or the food tasted disgusting, what's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to complain. You're going to share negativity about the experience. And why do we do that? I suppose it's human nature to have more emotion with a negative experience than a positive one. But I think you should go out of your way, even in those positive experiences, looking at the restaurant example, to even share. And I've done this when we stay at hotels. We were just in a hotel just yesterday, and they went out of their way to be so welcoming and smiling. And at the end of that experience, I went to the manager as we were leaving, and I said, hey, look, you guys are doing a great job. I mean, even your cleaning lady was smiling. Oh, you guys have a safe trip back home. And I think if we make it a part of our DNA of who and what we are, to always do those kinds of things that would uplift and encourage, it's going to spill over into our online experience, where you write things on social media and it becomes, as Beth has found, second nature to just do this, and you don't have to go out of your way. Sharon says, Jimmy, you're such a ray of light in this world that can be so dreary. I'm taking your rant today to heart, because one little comment from us can make a huge difference in someone's day. Huge difference either way, Sharon. That's the interesting thing. I could say something to somebody either in person or on social media, and it would totally ruin their day. Or I could say something on social media and it would totally make their day. And at the end of the day, it's our decision as individuals about how we're going to go about things. Are we going to be encouragers, or are we going to be discouragers? And here's the reality. If you're just joining us and you missed kind of the beginning, there's always, always, always going to be the turd balls out there, as I call them. They're just always going to be there. So in light of always having turd balls that are haters, that are going to hate, we need to counter that by being lovers who've gotta love other people. I contend the vast majority of people have love and respect and compassion and inside of them. I totally believe that the vast majority of people are good. And yet all we hear about is the negative. And we can counter that with love, you guys. Peace and love. Just read about this, how easy and yet profound. Darla, it's so simple. It's so simple, people miss it. That's the problem. They miss, because of the simplicity of it all, they totally miss the value and the power that is love. Bonnie Lene, a book I'm reading is called The Armor of God, putting on our armor, but we are supposed to pray for them. I find it very hard to do through the hurt, but you're right. It starts with love. Well, as a Christian, I'm commanded to love other people, even when they're unlovable towards me. There was no qualifier in the Bible that told me only if they love you first, Jimmy. No, no, no. The people that hate me the most are the people that I try to show the love to the most. And that is incredibly difficult, but it is the right thing to do. I'm extremely sensitive to and gravitate towards the positive, says Anne Marie, and encouraging people. It helps tremendously with my stress and anxiety levels. You're such a wonderful person. Thank you, Anne. That's a good point, that by doing this, you remove yourself from that negativity that pervades. And if the negativity is out there, and it's always going to be out there, and I'm here to tell you, it's always going to be out there, then what we do is we counter that by going completely in the opposite direction. And you're right, and it helps you so much. Yes, you're giving encouragement and love and respect to that person that you're writing that comment to, but at the end of the day, it's helping you a whole lot. Robin says it's not easy to accept, but it's all about them. It's not us. Insecurity and feeling so bad about themselves that they have to cut others down to validate themselves. And why people feel the need to do that, Robin, I have no idea, but it's just a reality. And in light of that reality, what we do to counter it is be overly in the opposite direction in loving and encouraging and showing kindness towards others. Said in a southern accent, bless your heart, says Lady Klingon. Yes, we do have a saying down here in the South, bless your heart. That's a southerner showing you, yeah. Do you think keto begins to heal our brains and make us kinder? I do, Nana. It's one thing that I've talked about with the low-fat vegans. The reason a lot of them are kind of wackadoodle is because they're lacking fat that makes their brains work properly. And that's not being ugly towards them. That's actually a biological fact. We know that because our brains are 70% fat and they're cutting fat way down in their diet, that's going to have a neurological effect. And so, yeah, you're onto something big there, for sure. Since you've been on 15 years media-based, has it gotten worse? I feel like it has. Bonnie, yes, far worse. And it could be that it's not necessarily that much worse than when I first came online. But remember, there was no Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or any of that stuff when I first got online with the keto stuff. Now, I've been online since the early 90s. I was one of the early adopters of going on the internet. In fact, I took an internet class in 1993 in grad school. I was in an internet class learning how to write HTML, which you don't have to do that anymore because they make tools that do it all for you now. But back then, you had to go HTTP, and then, the IMG SRC equals and all that stuff for images. You don't have to do that anymore. But so, yeah, I've been out there a very long time, and it has seemed, just kind of watching the news as well, that the online world got really nasty, and now it's spilling over into the real world. I know you guys have noticed this, that there's just look up on YouTube. There's all kind of encounters with people just going ballistic over, I didn't get enough French fries from McDonald's, and so they go off and they're ugly and it's horrible what's happened to our world. But again, this applies what I'm talking about here today on Jimmy Rants, sharing love and respect. And I notice things as I'm out and about where people are, and you see it when they do this, are holding the door open for other people, are smiling, are saying positive things to one another. And I think the more of us that start doing that, we could stem this tide of the ugliness so that it's not quite as loud as it is right now. All right, guys. So the bottom line in this Jimmy Rants is, if haters are going to hate, then lovers got to love. And that's you guys.
That's you guys that you can bemoan the way society is now, of all the online ugliness that is out there, and it's spilling over into the real world. You can bemoan it. You can say, oh my gosh, how horrible is this? But at the end of the day, you have the power to change it. You have the power to counter it. And you have to be deliberate about going out of your way to make sure that you show that love, kindness, compassion for fellow human beings. We've lost that in today's society as a norm. And I think those of us that are into all of those things need to be more deliberate about sharing the love with our fellow human beings. That's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. As always, go follow me on Instagram. That's where the fun begins. You can engage live in this show on a daily basis. So go follow me at Livin' Low Carb Man, LIVIN, LOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, you can engage in the content live, just like these people did here today. Thank you, guys. You can watch it on replay for up to 24 hours, and after 24 hours, it does disappear from Instagram, but never fear, we got you covered. Going over to YouTube, you can watch all the past episodes, 220-something and counting now on YouTube. Type in a keyword, Jimmy Rants, you will find the show. Finally, we have a Jimmy Rants podcast, which has the best of the best moments of this here show in podcast form. It's on Apple Podcast and Stitcher. JimmyRants.com is the website with all the links to how you can access this show. So until next time, we'll see you then.